She was a bold-looking girl of about 27, with thick hair, a freckled face, and swift, athletic movements. A narrow scarlet sash, emblem of the Junior Anti-Sex League, was wound several times around the waist of her overalls, just tightly enough to bring out the shapeliness of her hips. Winston had disliked her from the very first moment of seeing her. He knew the reason. It was because of the atmosphere of hockey fields and cold baths and community hikes and general clean-mindedness which she managed to carry about with her. He disliked nearly all women, and especially the young and pretty ones. It was always the women, and above all the young ones, who were the most bigoted adherents of the party. The swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy. So I've been thinking, the word petty has been coming to my mind a lot lately when thinking about and looking at the way SJWs move in art and entertainment. I don't feel like going over my issues with RE4 Remake right now, but that word kept coming up when I was playing that game. Just this sense of pettiness about, aspects of the gameplay, aspects of the story, aspects of certain choices, the changes that they made from the original to today's so-called modern audience. And with petty, it's really popular. It was popular with women on Twitter and Tumblr, where it's I stand the pettiness of whatever stupid social media thing that was happening. Rihanna's doing this and she's so petty. We love a petty queen, that kind of thing. But like I said, I noticed it with RE4 Remake, and I also noticed it in this Punisher series by Jason Aaron. Marvel has been intent on getting rid of the Punisher, not because fans don't like the Punisher anymore. Hilariously, with everything that involves geek entertainment, the people who are in charge of these IPs are not appealing to the fans. They're appealing to people who are not fans. And the Punisher symbol, the symbol on his chest, is popular with cops and military men. And so they've lumped all cops and all military men together into being this big evil entity. So because they like something that their fans like, their actual fans like, it's something that needs to be wiped out. I remember when there were people on Twitter a few years back saying, it's time to end the Punisher. It's time to remove the Punisher from comics. And it's you don't even read comics. What do you have to say about this? Why should anybody listen to you? But again, Marvel listens to people who are not their fans. And they hire people who do not like the characters that that they're working on. Jason Aaron, and I saw this on Yellow Flash's video about this. Screen Rant wrote an article where even the author of the article was it's clear when you read Punisher that Jason Aaron does not like the character. It's clear with this story of the way it ends, they want to wipe out Punisher, or they've wiped out the Punisher. They've destroyed the Punisher. And it's one of those things where, again, their mission, apparently, to destroy Punisher is to make him less popular with cops. I guarantee you, most people who have Punisher on their police cars or as badges on the uniforms or anything like that, they don't read Punisher comics. It's the actual readers who are the ones who are now without Frank Castle, at least for a while. It's one of those things, it's a comic book, so they can always, if somebody comes along and decides, I want to bring Punisher back. It's just this thing where, when I say petty, they're doing this. Somebody suggested this. I don't know if it was Peter David or Eric, I think it was Eric Larson, who suggested, why don't you make the Punisher be gay? And that will make his fans start to hate him. But it's that's not how the fandom works. They just like the Punisher because they like the Punisher. People who have the Punisher symbol, they just like the symbol because it looks cool. They don't know anything about the Punisher, really. They don't read his comics. They don't care. You're literally just hurting the readers. But they've decided that anybody who likes the Punisher, who enjoys the comic, are hateful bigots who deserve to have this character destroyed. It's only hurting the fans in the sense that, hey, this is a cool character. You could tell cool stories with him. that's it. But I mean, if you want to take that away from us, fine. Like, I've been reading a ton of Garth Ennis Punishers, and they're good. They actually get less good to me when Ennis, who doesn't like superheroes, who hates superheroes, makes Punisher more and more just a boring guy with a t-shirt that has the Punisher symbol on it, and then he's old as, Clint Eastwood or some shit. Like, the stories are actually still well written, but I just hate how it's written as if Punisher, like these later volumes, they're written as if Punisher doesn't exist within the Marvel Universe or a world of superheroes. That's boring to me, So the art was always good in this series, but I purposely didn't read it because when it was published, or publicized rather, before it even came out, they changed the Punisher symbol. So they was already going to get rid of the symbol. They made him, a soldier for the hand, and they took away his guns and gave him these swords. Now, your boy Zach and Wes from Thinking Critical, and maybe some other people, reviewed the first issue well. Now, as the series went on, I think just the second issue, Wes was pretty much off of it. He, Aaron basically wrote Frank as, a budding psychopath, a budding serial killer. As a kid, he was already like killing cats or stuff like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then by the time, I don't remember what issue it was, 6 or 7, by the time, Aaron was writing that basically Punisher was an abusive husband, Wes was just off of it. He was done with the series. He just called it out. Meanwhile, your boy Zach was still on the series, still defending the series. I don't know if he was still reading it, but he definitely read the one that was about Frank being an abusive husband. And your boy Zach defended it. And he's been doing this thing for a while now. I actually don't watch a lot of his videos anymore, where he's doing this thing where if you complain about something in the media, then you're an overgrown baby that shouldn't be complaining about it. He's doing this rah-rah thing for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. People are complaining about the fact that, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to be the new heroine, and she's putting Indy down. He did this whole video about, who cares if Spider-Man's not happy? It's silly for a grown man to want, your character to be happy or to want to be happy and all this stuff. And it's like he's doing the thing that he's always accused people in industry doing, the gaga goo goo game, where he's acting like when somebody says we want Peter Parker to be happy, that we're saying that we want him to be, dancing with his tippy toes around everything. Or when we talk about respect, we're saying that we want everybody to, slurp Indiana Jones off. And that's not what people are saying. But anyway, so he was still defending it. But by then, I already knew where all of this was heading. I didn't even need to read the first issue to know where the series was heading, simply because they changed his skull, and they, took his guns from him. So I knew what was happening.
It is happening again. It is happening again.
So there was no point in reading any of it. Like I said, I like the art. And I was like, I just know, despite what like your boy Zach has been doing with this thing about, hey, don't always just be in this sort of, hive mindset of just rejecting things because you don't like what it's about, like kind of see it through thing. And on one hand, I kind of get it. But on the other hand, we've seen this movie over and over and over again. We know it's not about, well, the writer sets up a conundrum that he's going to get the character out of by the end of the series. It's literally a mandate with these people that I'm going to tear this character down issue by issue. You see it in Spider-Man. Your boy Zach defended the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man that Zeb Wells did. He was basically like, this is, what Spider-Man goes through all the time. Just let the story play out. But it's like, no, this isn't just a normal time frame where you just let the writer tell his story. And by the end of it, you're like, okay, cool. He gave the hero some interesting problems and we watched the hero overcome. That's not what's happening. They're tearing these characters down. tear the relationship, Peter Parker and Mary Jane's down. And in The Punisher, back to the pettiness thing, there's this. All right, so this page has been doing the rounds, right? And it's just hilarious the way that. All right. Maria, how are you here? The priestess lied, of course. The magic of the citadel made it seem like I would wither and die if I ever left its grounds. But Doctor Strange took those bonds away. Of course he did. Like, it's just, Doctor Strange is just, a male feminist. He's just a tool of whoever's writing him. If he needs to remove the bonds over a woman who's pissed off at her husband, who's the Punisher, because cops like him, then yeah, Doctor Strange will be like, yeah, I'll take those bonds away. I don't know who the fuck you are, but I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. Sure. Whatever. Good. That's good. That means you can. And then she puts her hands up. And this stupid look on her face, she looks just like the smug. She looks like a feminist. That means I can finally finish what I was trying to tell you that day in the park. We're done, Frank. I want a divorce. And since technically I'm still dead, I've already got it. So, again, the pettiness is obvious. Anybody who reads this page, it's just obvious how this is clearly just absurd that he's going to, Aaron, upturn the whole park thing. And he's going to he's going to have Maria say this bullshit that when they were at the park, having a picnic, whatever, she was about to tell him, I want a divorce. In front of the kids and everything. Yeah, right. Okay, then she goes, with some help from Natasha, I've taken the liberty of dividing your assets. I've sold your safe houses and all their contents. This is, again, it's this pettiness thing. It's like Jason Aaron. Like I said, Jason Aaron kept pushing Ugly She-Hulk because he read Sensational She-Hulk by John Byrne, and he was horrified and devastated by the scenes where S.H.I.E.L.D., those rogue S.H.I.E.L.D. guys, was making She-Hulk strip naked, and then, they were doing all these unnecessary probing and stuff on her and stuff. So he was just outraged about the groping and molestation and the assault that they were doing to She-Hulk. And She-Hulk was allowing it because she wanted to protect Wyatt, because they basically threatened to kill Wyatt if she didn't go along with their perversions. So he was devastated by that, and so that was why he was pushing Ugly She-Hulk on everybody so much. And then in this instance, it's like he's watching red pill content or something, and the whole demonized divorced woman, or the demonized woman who wants a divorce, he's like going full bore into it, because this woman is like, with some help from Natasha, I've taken the liberty of dividing your assets. She just took his shit. I've sold your safe houses and all their contents. The real estate alone fetched quite the price. I have my half in cash and several duffel bags sitting in my new car. Look, this is all of a sudden, it's supposed to be about the Punisher, but it's not. It's about Maria. Just this. Your half was donated to various charities this morning in the names of our children. That's how you honor your dead family, Frank. Not by using them as an excuse for slaughter. It's like, why even have a comic book called The Punisher if all Frank was supposed to do was, take his assets and donate money to charities in the names of the children? Like, it's about a guy called The Punisher who's been warped after the death of his family. Now, everybody knows that Punisher is an anti-hero. And stories have always tackled the fact that Frank has issues. We know that. People like him because he's cool. They don't like him because he's like this great hero. And it's feminists, SJWs, they're not bright at all. This is why when you talk about 1984, and I've talked about 1984, the way that they've destroyed language, because they can't handle nuance and they can't handle complex thinking. And the thinking is not complex, but they can't handle it, and they don't think anybody else can handle it. They don't, when they see Frank Castle, they just see a white man that cops and soldiers like, and that's just bad. They don't think that the reader goes, yeah, we realize that he's an anti-hero. We realize that he's doing things that, It's not legal or even moral, but we understand why he's doing it. And it's fucked up, but it's also interesting because, Garth Ennis has so many scenes where, like, Frank will save a woman from being attacked in an alley. And the woman will thank Frank, and Frank will be like, huh? Oh, yeah, like, okay, whatever. He's killed the guys who were assaulting the woman, and she thanks him and says, thanks for trying to save me. Like, that was incidental. He wasn't doing it for her. He was doing it for himself. He was really just focused on the criminals, not on the victims. And, he's open about that. He's done stories about Frank during Vietnam and how he was already doing shady, sus shit when it came to, like, killing fellow soldiers, and so he could go back to fighting his war. So this is stuff we're aware of. This is stuff that we know. We've seen issues of Daredevil and Spider-Man trying to stop him from killing certain people. But just because the character is cool, and this is something I noticed about when people complained about Boba Fett, and they were like, man, Boba Fett's old and fat, and he's always walking around without his helmet, and he sucks now, he's a loser. And there were people on Twitter who was saying, those of you who want to see a cool Boba Fett are just toxic males. That it's toxic masculinity to like a cool masculine character. So that's all this is. Jason Aaron, I don't know if he's a homosexual or what his problem is, but he's been doing this for a while now, undercutting the male heroes and shitting on them. I mean, I guess, I don't know, like, and in the case of, Castle, he's been shitting on him this whole series. And to him, when I say, again, pettiness, to him, he thinks he's hurting the readers. And in a way, he's hurting them simply because he's taking away a cool character from them. And he's treating readers as if they're complicit in the patriarchy and they're complicit in, police brutality or something. I don't know, but it's like, you like this character, so I'm going to shit on this character, and that's going to hurt you. And it's like, no, it's just stupid. It's like we're comic book readers. We know what the deal is. I mean, you people may not understand it. You don't may understand these dynamics, but you got these outsiders who come in, infiltrate the space, fuck it all up because they don't understand it. But when we complain or criticize it, they only double down or triple down and say, you're the bad guy. You like Frank Castle. So I'm going to show you like the main driving, motivating force of this character, his wife, his dead wife. I'm going to have the wife of this character shit on him to his face, take all his money, keep half of it for herself, give the other half to charity, and then lecture him about how he's just this, psychopath, which, again, we understand that he's got issues. We know that. It's funny to see just how nakedly obvious and almost embarrassing it is how petty this story is. And, Aaron is a clown. He doesn't have any respect for himself or his work. He really doesn't. I don't know. It's just like the fact that he would write something like this. It's clearly, even Screen Rant had to say, clearly he does not like this character. But to go to the level of not even letting him confront the shit he's done himself. He had to make the dead wife do it. And like I said, and be like the divorce. It's so funny to me. It really is like Aaron was watching Red Pill videos on YouTube. And it was like, wow, the masculine man really is scared of the wife who wants a divorce. So that's who's going to be the big antagonist in my Punisher book. That's how I'm going to destroy the Punisher. And it's going to really kick all of his fans in the nuts because they're all red pill masculine men who love the fact that he's just slaughtering people, poor innocent people, with Italian surnames. I don't know, whatever. But this is a joke. I don't know. Like they're leaving a lot of money on the table by just destroying this character like that. But it's no surprise that comics are just going down the toilet. And at this point, I don't even care anymore. I really don't.